column with a gold sphere at the top. And as we approach it, you'll see that the top actually depicts a landmark with flames sprouting from its top. This is the town's cenotaph, or war memorial. It stands a cultural festival where musicians, singers, poets, artists, and even pop groups these days meet in the spirit of friendly rivalry to decide who's the best, and the members of the Gossen Circle uphold the poetic traditions of the ancient bards and poets. Of the 700 prince houses of Bristol, the ones here on the seafront were the earliest to be built, the first of which is the St George's Hotel here on the right. It was opened in 1855 of these hotels. That's because the owners are required to use the pastel-coloured charts provided by the powerful Mostyn estate after the World War in 1940. Hear more about her later. 4. The large green hotel coming up on our right was opened in 1860, but was taken over 2 years later by Dr. Henry Thomas, who used it as the Llandudno hydropathic establishment, hence the name Hydro. Dr. Thomas offered a treatment called the compressed air bath, and some of his medicines included belladonna, Spanish fly, and arsenic. On our right is the North Wales Theatre, venue Cymru, opened in 1994 by His Royal Highness Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales. It has one of the largest stages in the UK and has seating for 1,500 people. A new conference centre completes the project on this site. Out in the Irish Sea to your left. This is Winter Moor, with 160 turbines 10 miles offshore. It is Wales's largest wind farm, with a capacity to generate 576 megawatts and power for 400,000 homes. And in the distance you can see the Little Hall. It is 141 metres high and a popular sightseeing, walking and hiking site. Just up ahead of us are the paddling pool and lifeboat station. The open space to the right is Blodavon Fields, home to Blodavon Farm Park, a free tourist attraction popular with families and people of all ages. This is the part of town known as Llandudno. This is a mostly residential area developed in the turn of the 19th century. Notice the brick tile roofs rather than the older grey slate ones. The largest building in Llandudno is St Paul's Church. It was built at the beginning of the last century and is dedicated to the memory of the Duke of Clarence, son of Edward VII and Queen Alexandra, and grandson of Queen Victoria. Many suspected him of being none other than Jack the Ripper, the notorious Victorian murderer. If this is true, it seems rather strange to have his name associated with a church. The Duke of Clarence died in 1892 at the age of just 28. Ahead of us on our left is Queen's Park, named after Queen Victoria. However, one road down to the left is called Romania Drive, named after another queen, Elizabeth of Romania, who stayed here for several weeks in 1890. She was a noted author of romantic novels, and on a visit to the National Estate, she was honoured with acceptance into the godson of the bard under her pen name Carmen Silva. During her stay, she quickly grew to love the area. and was always very complimentary about the standard of hospitality in Wales. Indeed, she was so fond of Wales, she actually learned some Welsh. When she left, she described Llandudno as a beautiful haven of peace. In Welsh, Har Hafad He. And to this very day, that's our town's motto. You may see a glimpse of an impressive stone building. Blind Veterans is a national charity that supports blind ex-servicemen and women towards living an independent life. The building was originally known as Lady Forester, a convalescent home for the benefits of workers and their families from the iron industry based in Ironbridge in Shropshire. This area of town is known as Llanhwrs, part of the huge Boston estate. Coming into view on our left is the pretty little church of St. Helen. It stands on the site of a 6th century church and is the burial place of members of the Mustard family. Most of the gravestones in the cemetery are black on the instructions of Lady Augusta Mustard. Back in the houses were popular in the Victorian era, built as a way of showing the temperance need and not to necessarily deny the social activity offered by drugs and alcohol. Bryn is the Welsh word for dinner, and Lucan is the Latin and French word for boat. Basically, it means both hill, named after Hugh Lucas. Back in the 11th century, he was the first Norman Earl of Chester, as well as a favourite nephew of William the Conqueror. At the tender age of just 19, he was virtually the king of Cheshire and lordship over much of North Wales. This brought him great wealth, and the lifestyle not unlike that of Henry VIII some centuries later. But perhaps that's why history books often refer to him who is still here today to tell the tale. The trees in the distance, you can see Llandudno's very own Cleopatra Keep. This obelisk was built simply as a landmark for the Aries Top Hotel. For this reason, you might just be able to go. Llandudno National Park has been a protected mountain for over 50 years. As we come down the hill, you will catch the sight of Conwy, its castle and quayside, and the River Conwy estuary. Coming up on our right is a pub called the Castle Inn, formerly called the Feast. This name came from a song from the four war veterans that were once housed in this area. A copy of the song still hangs in the bar of the pub. Over to our right then, you can see the turrets and battlements of Conwy's famous castle, which was built in 1287 and commissioned by King Edward I, and he took control of North Wales from the indigenous Welsh. Edward built all of our beautiful castles along the North Wales coast, and Humans. I'll tell you more about the castle as we approach it shortly. Llandudno Junction, where the main railway line from London Euston runs to Holyhead at the far side of the Isle of Anglesey. There, you can catch the ferry to Dublin, the gateway to the Emerald Isle. Ahead of us now is Conwy's magnificent castle. Our first view is of the two eastern towers, and between them, the massive eastern barbican, one of the entrance to the fortress. Conwy's story begins in 1283, the year that King Edward I completed the conquest of Conwy, ending the rule of the Welsh princes. Back then, the estimated cost of the castle was £15,000, and it's required workforce of more than 15,000 masons and craftsmen from all over England to complete the project. In total, the castle has 8 towers, originally roofed with shingle from the slates. Once completed, the castle walls would have been lined up or whitewashed. Some traces of the wood can still be seen on its walls today. What an incredible sight must have been, standing gleaming white at the base of the dramatic backdrop of the Llandudno Mountains. Before we enter Conwy, look to our right and slightly ahead, and you'll see the town's quayside. At the end of the terrace of houses closest to us, you might spot a little red house, or then again, you may not, for it is in fact the smallest house in Great Britain, just 72 inches wide and 122 inches high. Here we are entering the medieval town of Conwy. The castle today looks peaceful enough. Complex arrow loops in the walls fire vistas down to anyone attempting to storm the castle. Today, it's quite a different story, and visitors are now warmly welcome. We are now approaching our stop for the town of Conwy. This is where you leave us if you wish to explore the castle or the magnificent town walls, or maybe take a stroll along the quayside. Our buses leave from here every 60 minutes. Please check with our driver for the time of the buses that will take you back into Llandudno. If, however, you are leaving us here, I do hope that you've enjoyed the tour, and I'd like to thank you for travelling with City Sightseeing. The walls, the town was laid out in a grid pattern with space for a town square or market. Look to our right, on top of the pillar in the Lancaster Square is a statue of the Llandudno, the last Welsh nobleman. Ahead of us, a very narrow arch through the walls in the 19th century to accommodate the flow of traffic to Bangor and Anglesey. It is very narrow, as you can see. Please, no stand, and keep arms and hands well inside the bus. We are now briefly outside the town walls in Town Ditch Road, so named because of a base on ditch and open sewer where all manner of rubbish was thrown. The walls are about 1,400 yards in length, with 21 semicircular towers spaced out along them. Removable wooden platforms would expand the gaps between them, so that in the event of a hostile attack, the platforms could be removed, creating a break in the circuit, isolating those sections that were under siege. Inside the town walls now is Berry Street, once called Burial Street, because here many of the victims of the plague of 1665 were buried. It was originally built as a merchant's house, and parts of it date back to the 14th century. It's a magnificent castle. You can just see some of the traces of the limestone wash on the walls, and as we leave look to the base of the castle walls and the oblong holes. They were known as latrines, and there are no prizes for guessing what came out of there. Any invader wouldn't dare to attempt to two bridges. The furthest away from us is a tubular railway bridge, and the closest to us is Thomas Telford Road Bridge. Telford was a brilliant engineer and took great care in the building. Look to our right at the two bridges. The furthest away from us is a tubular railway bridge, and the closest to us is Thomas Telford Road Bridge. Telford was a brilliant engineer and took great care in the building of this bridge by dipping the metal in linseed oil to preserve it. The bridge, opened in 18, carries the main railway line, and it was the first of Robert Stephenson's tubular design and opened in 1840. The modern bridge we've just passed through opened in 1958 to ease the increasing flow of traffic passing over Telford Road Bridge. The increased traffic flow in the 60s caused dreadful problems in Conwy, and so a scheme was devised to build a road and the revision. As we cross over this next bridge, take a look down to the left and you can see the vehicles disappearing into the tunnel. Construction of this massive project began in 1986. It is made up of 6 reinforced concrete prefabricated units. A casting basin was created and the trench for the sections was excavated. The sections were then lowered slowly one by one, then linked together. Finally, the trench was then filled in, bringing the riverbed back to its original level. It is Britain's first immersed tube tunnel, stretching for 3/4 of a mile and designed to last for 120 years. It was opened by Her Majesty the Queen who cut the yellow ribbon, and her car was the first to travel through it. Then floated across the channel and assembled on the French beaches. In great secrecy, suitable areas were chosen to build sections of the Millbury Harbour, and Conwy was included. The area used is now the marina, and as a reminder, the local purpose was the Millbury. Many of the town's hotels and boarding houses were taken over by men working on this project, and in addition, rather than in large cities like Liverpool, Manchester, Birmingham. On the left, you can see the road to the marina. There has been a dock here since the 12th century, but the large dock was built in the 1880s to transport by rail massive amounts of high-quality roofing slate, quarried at Llandudno, further up the Conwy Valley. In this century, the dock has been transformed into a marina and a spa hotel called the Quay after this history. This opened in 2006, and the houses in this area are very well sold. The bloodline can actually be traced to our present monarch. The Badra later became the stronghold of King Llandudno of Gwynedd, and indeed, this part of North Wales appears to have been the capital of Gwynedd at this time. Look slightly over to the left, and in the distance, you may be able to see the Isle of Anglesey and Griffin Island, separated from the mainland by the famous Menai Straits. By the shore, you can see Maes Golf Course, an 18-hole course of championship standard. Travel downwards, pulls the other car up. Those original trams of 1902 are still in use today, over 110 years later. Llandudno is Wales's largest resort, and is very much the product of the Victorian era. It came into existence primarily for tourists during the mid-19th century, although man has left structures here dating from at least 3000 BC. For the last 100 years or so, it's undoubtedly been the queen of the North Wales resorts, with many fascinating reminders of the elegance of the Victorian period. The name Llandudno. How did it come about? Llan is the Welsh name for church or parish. Dudno comes from the name of the 6th century monk Saint Dudno, who founded a church on the Great Home, bringing Christianity to the kingdom. There is still a church on that site dedicated to Saint Dudno. So basically, Llan to the bay, and over to the right, in the distance, we can just see the Isle of Anglesey and Puffin Island. Near us here once stood the Ben Morabat Hotel, originally a private house built in 1862 for the very Reverend Henry Liddell, Dean of Christ Church in Oxford. Liddell stayed here during college breaks with his family, his retinue of servants, and important and privileged guests. One of Liddell's daughters was called Alice, and this is the Alice on which Lewis Carroll based the famous character in Alice in Wonderland and Alice Through the Looking Glass. This is the West Shore, a stretch of golden sand. Water sports enthusiasts and especially walkers, as the Wales coastal path runs right along the shore. There is a boating lake, children's play area, cafe and toilet facilities for those wishing to alight here. As the bus turns, look down to the little island on our left. This is our bus stop on the West Shore. If you are leaving us here, check with your driver for the time of later buses. The circular glass building here is another relic from Victorian times. It was built as a shelter and waiting room 7 and 1956. The trams transported local townsfolk and holiday makers afield too, as far east as Colwyn Bay. Much of the original tramway still exists, although modern streets have now largely covered them up. Beyond is the Grand Hotel, opened in 1901 when it was the hotel in North Wales. In front of it is the lovely Victorian iron pier, built in 1877. This pier was modelled on the one in Brighton, and in the Howcan days of Victoria's reign, it provided a good berthing facility for the growing number of passenger ships arriving from large cities like Liverpool. This is in fact our second pier. The original was built in 1858 as part of a plan to make Llandudno a major seaport for Ireland. One family has dominated the life of the promenade for well over 100 years. And no holiday or even day out for Llandudno would be complete without a visit to Codman's Perch and Judy Show. Richard Codman arrived here in his horse-drawn gypsy caravan in 1864. During his stay, one of his horses died suddenly, leaving him and his family stranded. So Richard spent his time whistling driftwood from the beach, and whilst doing this, had the idea of carving heads and doing a Punch and Judy show, something he had seen during his travels as a travelling musician. Actually, his shows drew complaints about the raucous and unruly noise during the performance banned them for a time. But the popularity of his shows overcame this, and the shows went on to become a much-loved part of the entertainment here on the promenade. And they are still very popular today. The Punch and Judy show is still here, complete with the original puppet heads carved from the driftwood that Richard Codman picked from the foreshore in the 1860s. And remarkably, it's still operated by Richard Codman's descendants. On our right now is the J.D. Witherspoon Public House. It stands on the original site of the town's market hall. Later, it became the Palladium Theatre. And if you take a closer look at this splendidly restored and renovated building, you can see how it resembles the famous I do hope you have enjoyed your tour of Llandudno Conwy. Thank you for joining us, and of course, many thanks to our driver. Remember to hold on to your tickets, as they will allow you a discount of any other sightseeing tour either here in the UK or on any of our tours worldwide. If you are staying with us to continue the tour, we will be again very shortly. Diolch yn fawr iawn am dewis City Sightseeing a gobeithio cywch chi siwrne ddiogel adre. Thank you again for choosing City Sightseeing today, and I wish you a safe journey home.